mix up some pressure, get on their asses as far as it goes. Keep the pressure coming, man.
Dick LeBeau revolutionized the zone blitzing scheme and just terrorized quarterbacks. He made you play the game differently.
Big rush, he's set.
What Dick LeBeau really implemented and what really helped was he played a zone defense behind it, where there was still a safety net behind the blitz. So you could send an extra defender from one side, one more than the offense could really protect.
It absolutely drove quarterbacks crazy.
He will come off the ball, hit his ass.
The biggest change, though, to me was when he started dropping damn defensive linemen out. And to me, that was the hardest thing.
The ball is out. The Steelers pounce on it.
Focus in on the defense, come together, we'll win the ball game. Let's go.
The man invented the fire song. Dick LeBeau is the greatest defensive mind. If you play his defense the way that it is coached, there is nothing that you can't do.
I mean, how many times can you go into the Hall of Fame? Obviously went in as a player, easily could go in as an administrator and as a general manager. The thing I appreciated about Ozzie is that collective he coached. He was a scout. He had been the administrator. He had such a broad base of understanding of the game.
You just don't get up against a guy that has that much speed.
You know, I had a good fortune of working with a couple groundbreaking African-American coaches and personnel people. He didn't think in those terms. He never viewed, at least he never talked about that perspective of, okay, I'm one of the first black general managers.
We also got some young kids that we need to take a look at.
And he refused to give in to that pressure, even though personally he understood exactly what that meant.
Jonathan, Ozzie Newsome, how you doing? We're ready to make you the first pick of the Baltimore Ravens.
Ray, you are the second choice of the Baltimore Ravens.
How many times can you go into the Hall of Fame?
The goalpost being on the inside of the goal line makes zero sense. It seems like one of the things where they would do it on their first year and then be like, doy, we should put it behind, give it an extra 10 yards. So these guys aren't running full speed into these metal poles, because it seems deadly.
Somebody, when they constructed it, said, okay, let's make the game as difficult as possible. Let's make obstruction a part of the game. So just when a guy thinks he's about to score, bam, he's going to run into the post, fall over.
Gilmer into the end zone, and it hits the goalpost. Billy Kilmer, so what more can happen?
It was just like one unnecessary impediment to make the game a little bit tougher than it should have been. Thank God they moved the post back.
King Winter takes over for the Pro Football Championship playoff at icy Cleveland Stadium, and the Cleveland Rams put the title on ice 15-14.
And then Dan Reeves had gone to the league owners and said, I've got the championship team, but I can't make any money. I want to go to the West Coast.
In 1946, the Cleveland Rams moved to Southern California, and the West Coast had a major league sport.
Historic for the NFL. If Dan Reeves had not insisted, because they did not want him to go, you might not have seen the West Coast open for a long time.
Another consistent point maker for the Giants last season was Pete Gogolak. In his first year in the NFL, the soccer kicking field goal specialist led New York in scoring with 77 points.
If you ever tried to kick an NFL ball, it's almost impossible. The sweet spot is micro-sized. It's absolutely tiny. Very difficult. I'm not surprised that they used to kick it like straight on with try to toe poke it.
I actually did not know that they kick toe first. That is crazy.
Peter, can you kick that low to each corner, like on the 10 or so, instead of putting it up?
It's no surprise that a Hungarian was the person who redefined kicking.
He was ahead of his time. He said, well, let's try to kick it from the side instead of straight on. Soccer kicker Pete Gogol opens the game and boots the ball deep into the Eagle end zone.
Changing to the soccer style incorporated all the muscles, it incorporated consistency, it did all these things to make the kicking profession much better.
Gogol, who led the league in field goals, adds another to his total.
When you look at how kickers have such an importance in the game today, and to think of one guy making the change, there's not a lot of people who had more of an impact than Pete.
I should have patented this kick. So everybody after me, every time somebody goes in and kick, will give me a quarter, at least a quarter. This is kind of a Gogol style.
The player and the team that got me hooked on the NFL was the Green Bay Packers, and I would say the player would be Brett Favre.
Favre fakes the handoff, rolling right, pressured by McDaniel, shovels it forward, touchdown!
My dad said, this is number 4, this is Brett Favre. He will throw some wild and crazy interceptions.
Throw it away, throw it away, throw it away!
Second down 11, quick throw, picked it off, interception!
And throw some passes in the air that make you go, no, no, yes!
Brett Favre is something else.
I gotta see this. This Favre out here, Brett Favre.
Anytime he was on TV, you couldn't turn the channel because you knew a huge moment could happen at any time.
A perfect throw by Brett Favre.
I'm 14, 15, 16 years old, and he's running around and throwing fastballs everywhere, just making unbelievable plays, and that looked fun to me.
I've always had a tremendous amount of confidence. You know, at times maybe too much. There's been a lot of near misses, but there's been a lot more. How'd he get away with that one? I want the ball, kind of gunsling a little bit. That was my goal and only goal.
What a play by Brett Favre. Brett Favre just creates plays.
It's gonna be all day of kicking ass.
Buddy Ryan is a game changer because he stuck with the 46 and he had the horses to make that defense work. That's a defense that you need ungodly talent to make work.
You covered the guard center guard combination with William Perry, Dan Hampton, and Steve McMichael. And then on one end you put Richard Dent, on the other end you put Otis Wilson, and then you put Wilbur Marshall, the tight end, to jack him up.
We're gonna be here all day.
And then you had Singletary on one side of the box, on the weak side.
I like this kind of party.
Then you brought Gary Fensick down to the box. In the old days, it was Doug Plank, and he was number 46 that would come down. That's why it was called the 46.
Damn, go get him!
He went on the attack. So a lot of times these guys, even you watch today's game, they wait for the offense to make a mistake or something like this. That was never my dad's philosophy. My dad was going to attack you.
How are you going to block them? Somebody's going to win, and Buddy believed that. You got to lower your hips, you got to fire through that guy. You attacked. The quarterback had to throw the ball in 1.8 seconds, and if he didn't, he was getting hit.
You don't just pressure the quarterback. You pressure everybody on that offense.
What are they, unblockable? Is that the 85 Bears over there? Huh?
I don't want to take anything away from Jim McMahon in the offense, but we could probably done it without him.
Game changers. Do you think Buddy is on that list?
He could probably give to, one of those things.
Being an African-American quarterback, there's always a certain stigma that they're not as intelligent. You can't win the big games with them.
Warren wanted opportunity, and so we went and signed with Edmonton in the Canadian Football League. He quickly became MVP there.
The Grey Cup for the 5th consecutive year will go to Edmonton.
After 6 years, Warren was a complete free agent. He was terrific. He had an incredible arm through a beautiful ball. He was so smart that he was a field general and could command the loyalty of his troops.
Throwing for a touchdown, Haywood Jeffries. Boone short roll to the left, throwing over the middle.
Not too many dudes can approach the field like a doctor with white gloves. I mean, Moon was surgical.
Hey, I love the work that you put in this offseason, brother. It's all paying off for you right now.
Warren Moon paved the way, man.
Number one, uno!
And it's not said enough.
I think it was fitting for Tony to be the first African-American head coach to win the Super Bowl. His style of coaching was something that a lot of people look up to. When you're on a Tony Dungy team, when you make a mistake, you feel bad because you let the head coach down.
He can't drop the ball. He's got the best hands on the team.
It was just something about Coach Dungy, man, that you want to play your heart out for him. He's not a yell at you, get in your face type of guy.
Hustle off, hustle in. Don't walk on the field, please.
I got a lot of love for you as a man, as a coach, man. I love you, man.
He walked the walk and talked the talk. You can search far and wide in your lifetime, and you may never come across as good a person as Tony Dungy, and he's a great teacher and a great coach. That's a combination you can't beat.
When he was up on that podium, you know he represented a lot more than just Tony Dungy and the Colts winning a Super Bowl.
I try to tell my kids about Bo Jackson. That was the guy, you know, LeBron James, Kobe, Michael Jordan, all that stuff. Bo is the one who started all that stuff.
Bo knows football. Bo knows basketball, too. Bo knows tennis?
It was the beginning of that mass superstar athlete with commercials.
Bo Jackson, wow. The NFL wasn't ready for Bo Jackson. Bo Jackson astounded the sports world when he announced that he would follow up a full season with the Kansas City Royals by indulging in his hobby, professional football. Nobody was surprised by anything Bo did. Even when we would watch him in baseball season, he'd break a bat over his knee or his head, or we'd go, yeah, of course he did that.
Bo literally would play baseball until the middle of the fall, walking off the street and be dominant.
When you see Bo in person, he like Shaquille O'Neal to me. You've seen running backs who were big, but they weren't fast. I mean, this dude was the fastest guy on the team and the biggest dude on the team.
It's a foot race. Will anybody catch him? Holy Toledo!
It was like being at turn 3 in Talladega, and he was that big, 234 pounds maybe, running a 4.2.
What a dynamic, explosive drive by Bo Jackson.
I wanted to be a running back because of Bo Jackson.
Holy Toledo!